My girlfriend said, "It's over. My new man is taking me to Paris." I replied, "Enjoy your flight." She didn't know her new man was my newest intern. I waited until they boarded, texted my intern, "You're fired," canceled his corporate card, and left them both stranded in Paris. My girlfriend of 2 years, Madison, broke up with me last week. She did it at our favorite restaurant, which was a bold choice. It meant I had to sit there across the table from her and maintain a neutral expression while she systematically dismantled our life together, all while the waiter kept trying to top up my water glass. She gave me the usual speech. She said she felt like we were on different paths, that she needed more passion and ambition in her life. Then she delivered the finishing blow, the part she was clearly most excited to tell me. She had met someone else, a dynamic, incredible man who was really going places. "He's taking me to Paris for a week, Alex," she said, her eyes glittering with a cruel kind of triumph. "First class, we leave on Friday." She was trying to hurt me. She wanted me to picture her being whisked away on a romantic European vacation by her new superior man. She wanted me to feel small, inadequate, and left behind. I didn't feel any of those things. I felt a strange sense of calm descend over me, the kind I get when I'm about to close a major deal, because as she was describing her new man, I realized I knew exactly who he was. His name is Leo, and he's my newest intern. Let me provide some context because this is important. I am a vice president at a large multinational technology firm. About 3 months ago, our company took on a cohort of elite MBA interns from top-tier business schools. Leo was the star of the group. Brilliant, charismatic, and pathologically ambitious, he was assigned directly to my team. I saw his potential, but I also saw his arrogance. He was a gambler, a risk-taker who believed he was too smart to fail. Because of the high-level projects my division handles, I was authorized to grant Leo a corporate American Express card. This is not standard practice for interns, but he was on a fast track. The card was intended for approved expenses related to an upcoming project that involved potential international travel and client meetings in Europe. It had a generous limit, and as his direct manager and the authorizing VP, I had full oversight of his account. I was giving him a lot of rope, a test to see if he could handle the responsibility. So when Madison, whose own salary is modest, started talking about first-class tickets to Paris, a switch flipped in my head. I knew Leo didn't have the personal funds for that kind of trip. There was only one way he could be paying for it. He was using the rope I gave him to hang himself. I continued to play my part. I listened patiently to Madison. I feigned a mild, heartbroken surprise. I even asked in a quiet voice, "When does your flight leave on Friday?" She told me the airline and the flight number, eager to twist the knife. 700 p.m. direct to Charles de Gaulle, she said with a smug smile. Later that evening, while she was at our apartment packing her things to move out, I was in my home office. I logged into my company's corporate expense portal, and there it was in black and white, a real-time feed of Leo's spectacular stupidity. Charge 1, 2 first-class round-trip tickets on Air France. Cost $14,500. Charge 2, 1 week prepaid at a 5-star hotel on the Champs-Élysées. Cost $8,200. Charge 3, a cash advance taken out at an airport ATM. Cost $1,000. He was using the company card like it was his personal trust fund. It was brazen, reckless, and career-endingly foolish. He was betting everything on the idea that he could either hide these expenses or that I wouldn't notice. He was making a very, very bad bet. When Madison was finally packed and ready to leave my apartment for good, she stood at the door with her suitcases. She gave me one last, pitying look. "Well, Alex," she said, "I'm off to start my new life. My new man is taking me to Paris." I looked her straight in the eye, my expression unreadable. "Enjoy your flight," I said. For the next 2 days, I did nothing. I let them go through the motions. I could see the charges for airport lounge access and overpriced sandwiches pop up on the portal. Then, on Friday evening, I opened the flight tracker website. I watched their flight status go from at gate to boarding to taking off. I waited until the little airplane icon showed them safely over the Atlantic Ocean, well past the point of no return. I picked up my phone. I had a text message already drafted and waiting. It was addressed to Leo. I had another number ready to dial. It was time to manage my company's liability and my own personal affairs with maximum efficiency. Update 1. The moment the flight tracker showed their plane over the ocean, I set my plan into motion. It was a simple two-step process executed with clinical precision from the comfort of my living room. Step 1 was a text message. I opened the draft I had written to Leo. It was short and utterly unambiguous. I wrote, "Leo, this message is to inform you that your employment with this firm is terminated, effective immediately, for gross misconduct and fraudulent misuse of company property. Your corporate credit card has been canceled. Do not attempt to contact me or anyone else at the company. A formal letter detailing your severance, which is 0, and a demand for repayment will be sent to your home address." I hit send. The message delivered instantly. Of course, he wouldn't see it for another 6 hours somewhere over the coast of France. Step 2 was a phone call. I dialed the number for our company's dedicated 247 corporate card administration service. A sleepy agent answered. I identified myself by name and my executive ID number. "I need to report a card being used for fraudulent purposes and have it canned immediately," I said. I gave them Leo's card number. As the authorizing vice president for the account, I had the absolute authority to do this. I told the agent that the employee had been terminated and that all recent charges, including the airline tickets and the hotel booking, were to be flagged as fraudulent and subject to chargeback procedures. The agent typed for a moment. "Okay, Mr. Sterling," he said. "The card has been deactivated. All pending charges have been frozen. A fraud investigation will be opened on our end." "Excellent," I said. "Thank you for your efficiency." And that was it. In the space of 5 minutes, I had fired my rogue intern and vaporized his financial lifeline. I imagined the sequence of events that would unfold upon their arrival in Paris. They would be giddy with excitement, full of champagne from their first-class flight. They would take a taxi to their luxurious 5-star hotel. They would walk up to the check-in desk, and the polite concierge would look at their reservation, tap on his keyboard, and then deliver the bad news with a slight frown. "I'm so sorry, sir, but the credit card used to book this room has been declined. The reservation is no longer valid." From there, their dream vacation would spiral into a nightmare. Every plan they had would evaporate. The corporate card in Leo's wallet was now just a useless piece of plastic. His personal bank account, as I knew from his intern salary, would be woefully inadequate for even one night in a cheap Parisian hotel, let alone 2 last-minute economy tickets back home. They were stranded, just as I predicted, about 8 hours. Later, my phone began to vibrate. It was a call from a number I didn't recognize, but the country code was for France. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, it rang again, ignored. Then came the barrage of texts from Madison. "Alex, what did you do? The hotel won't let us check in. Leo's card keeps getting declined everywhere. He says you canceled it. He just got a text saying he's fired. Is this your idea of a joke?" "Alex, this isn't funny. We have no money. We are stuck here. You have to fix this. You owe me this." I read the texts, a cold sense of justice washing over me. Owed her? I owed her nothing. After a dozen more frantic messages, I decided to grant her one final reply. I typed a single simple sentence. "This sounds like a personal problem between you and your dynamic, ambitious man. As I said before, enjoy your flight, or in this case, your vacation." I sent the message, then I blocked her number. I blocked her on every social media platform. I erased her from my digital life as completely as I had just erased her vacation plans. Shortly after, a few of her friends started texting me, clearly fed a panicked one-sided story. "What you're doing to Madison is cruel," one wrote. "There's been a terrible misunderstanding. You need to help them." I didn't reply. I just blocked. Their numbers, too. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a consequence. Madison had hitched her wagon to a man who tried to build a life on theft and arrogance. I simply pointed it out to him and to her in the most direct and undeniable way possible. They were now in a 5-star city with a 0-star budget, left to sort out the mess they had created for themselves. Update 2. The first order of business when I got to the office on Monday was to formalize the situation. I met with our head of HR and my own boss, the executive vice president. I laid out the facts clinically, presenting them with the printout from the corporate expense portal. I showed them the timeline of charges, the first-class tickets, the luxury hotel, all booked for personal use. I terminated Leo's internship for gross misconduct on Friday evening as soon as the fraudulent activity was confirmed, I explained. I also had his corporate card deactivated to prevent further unauthorized spending and to protect the company from additional liability. They were both grim-faced, but fully supportive. My boss clapped me on the shoulder. "Good call, Alex," he said. "You acted decisively to protect the firm's assets. This kid was a loaded cannon. Better to find out now than 6 months down the line when he's handling real client data." HR handled the official paperwork. Leo was formally blacklisted from any future employment with our company or any of its subsidiaries. My swift action was noted in my file, not as a personal vendetta, but as a demonstration of strong executive oversight. Professionally, I had come out of this looking even better. Of course, I was intensely curious about how Madison and Leo managed to escape their Parisian prison. The answer came about a week later via a colleague who had a friend who was friends with one of Madison's friends. The grapevine is a powerful tool. The story was one of pure, unadulterated humiliation. After failing to get a hold of me, Madison was forced to make a series of tearful, graveling phone calls to her parents. She had to confess that her glamorous Parisian getaway with her new man had imploded because he had apparently been funding it with a stolen credit card. Her parents, after what was surely an epic lecture, reluctantly agreed to wire her money. Not enough for a luxurious week, but just enough for 2 last-minute one-way tickets home in the worst seats on the plane, likely with a 3-hour layover in Iceland. I imagine that flight home was a quiet and deeply uncomfortable one. Upon her return, Madison, now broke and thoroughly humiliated, launched a desperate retaliation campaign. Since she couldn't attack me professionally, she attacked me personally. She started spreading vicious rumors to anyone who would listen. She claimed I was a jealous, controlling monster. She said I had been emotionally abusive for years and that I had engineered Leo's firing out of pure spite because I couldn't handle her leaving me for a better man. She also tried a financial attack. She sent me a long, legally worded email clearly written by someone else demanding I return all the gifts she had given me over our 2 years together. She also claimed she was entitled to a portion of my assets because of her emotional labor and her contributions to our shared life. The list of her supposed property included expensive furniture, art, and electronics that I had bought long before she moved into my apartment. This was amateur hour. I didn't even respond to her email. I simply forwarded it to my personal attorney. My lawyer drafted a short, sharp, and brutal cease and desist letter. It stated in no uncertain terms that I owed her nothing. It pointed out that her claims to my property were baseless and fraudulent. It included copies of receipts for the major items she had listed, proving my sole ownership. The letter concluded with a very clear warning. It referenced the fact that she was knowingly complicit in Leo's attempt to defraud my company by participating in the trip. It noted that while my company was pursuing Leo, they had, as of now, chosen not to pursue her. The letter strongly advised, Her that any further contact, harassment, or defamatory statements against me could result in me recommending to my company's legal team that they reevaluate her status as a witness and consider her a co-conspirator. It was a checkmate. Threatening her would accomplish nothing, but threatening her with the full legal weight of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, that was a threat she had to take seriously. The rumors stopped. The emails stopped. There was only silence. Final update. It has been 4 months since the Paris incident. The waves have settled, and the final consequences of Madison and Leo's little adventure have come fully into focus. Their story did not have a happy ending. First, Leo. His professional life is not just stalled, it's a smoldering crater. My company's legal department, as promised, sent him a formal demand letter for the repayment of every single dollar he fraudulently charged to the corporate card. The total came to just over $24,000. They gave him 30 days to arrange a payment plan before they would escalate to a civil suit. Furthermore, my company's HR department, as is standard practice in cases of ethical violations, sent a formal letter to the dean of his business school. The letter detailed the circumstances of his termination, including the misuse of funds and the breach of contract. An MBA from a top school is built on a foundation of networking and reputation. That foundation is now poisoned. He has been blacklisted in our industry. No reputable firm will hire someone with a record of being fired for cause over financial misconduct. His brilliant career was over before it even began. Now for Madison, her life since returning from her 2-day week in Paris has been a slow, painful collapse. The relationship with Leo, which was built entirely on his flashy promises and my company's money, evaporated the moment they landed back home. He was now unemployed, disgraced, and facing a massive debt. He was no longer the dynamic alpha she had left me for. He was a liability. They broke up within a week. Madison found herself in a terrible position. She was broke, having spent her savings on the humiliating flight home. She had been publicly dumped by the man she had publicly left me for, and she was effectively homeless as her name was never on my lease. The last I heard from that same reliable grapevine, she was forced to move back in with her parents. She is in her late 20s, living in her childhood bedroom. Her grand Parisian dream having turned into a nightmare of suburban failure. I received one final email from her about a month ago, sent from a new address. It was a pathetic, rambling message. It alternated between blaming me for ruining her life and vaguely apologizing for how things ended. It was the classic self-pitying monologue of a person who still refuses to take responsibility for her own choices. I read it, felt absolutely nothing, and then deleted it and blocked the address. As for me, life is good. My position at the company is stronger than ever. I am respected for being a leader who is both decisive and protective of the company's interests. My apartment is peaceful. I've been focusing on my work, hitting the gym, and reconnecting with friends who I had neglected while I was with Madison. I don't consider what I did to be revenge. Not in the emotional sense. I saw it as a risk management problem. I had an employee who was a liability and a partner who was complicit in his recklessness. I took the most efficient and logical steps to neutralize the threat to my company and to my own life. The fact that their personal lives imploded as a result was simply a predictable consequence of their own terrible decisions. They gambled using my company's money and my trust as their stake, and they lost spectacularly.